Welcome to a TLDR MoP guide for the Stoneguard, because now I have to compete with Fat Boss. The Stoneguard is the first boss in Mogu'shan Vaults and has 4 bosses. If one boss is close to another, they each gain energy, dealing raid-wide damage when they hit 100, but by themselves they take no damage. The bosses rotate casting Petrification, making everyone rock solid if it goes off, so you need to interrupt it by letting the caster hit max energy. Have one tank hold whichever is casting, plus one more to let them gain energy, and 2 off tanks for the other 2, rotating the off boss every 25 energy so they don't hit 100 early. The tanks will all gain a stacking dot, but they're unique per boss, so it'll drop when you swap. Just keep an eye on the main tank. Each boss has an extra ability, but these deal less damage if that boss is casting Petrify. Jade Shards deals raid-wide damage, so a healer problem. Amethyst Pools spawn under your feet, so move out of them. Cobalt Mines deal AoE damage and root them if you touch them, but they take up space, so you do need to clear them. Have an off-tank or a tanky DPS clear when Cobalt is casting Petrify, then dispel the root. But if he's not casting, you'll join the healers on the meters. And Jasper Chains links 2 players dealing ramping damage if you're too far apart, so go stand with your buddy. If Jasper is casting Petrify, you can break the chains by standing apart for 15 seconds, but don't do it in one go or you'll probably both fucking die, so it's easiest to stack. On Heroic, you can light the floor tiles using crystals around the room, giving 1% damage and spirit for each tile, which helps with the DPS check. Clicking the crystals gives 7 stacks of a dot that drops off when you run over the tiles, but at 75 and 40% health, they all reset and you have to do it again. Get 2 hunters running back and forth like water boys to keep the buff up as much as possible, while healers keep them alive. Then just keep swapping the bosses to stop the cast until you eventually kill the boss. Feng is the second boss in Mogu'shan Vaults and has different phases based on his weapons. On normal, the order is set and he phases every 33%, but on heroic it's every 25% and you can control which you get by phasing him near the weapons around the room. First, have the tanks grab the 2 crystals in the room to get extra abilities that are used to counter mechanics. One is a damage reduction barrier that prevents magical effects, and the other places a shroud on someone and lets you cast the next ability they get hit by. In all phases, tanks get a stacking dot, so swap before you die or just when it drops. During his fist weapons, Lightning Fist shoots lightning on the ground at the main tank, so phase it away and don't get hit, and on heroic it shoots 3 in a cone. He also casts Epicenter around every 30 seconds, massive channeled fall-off damage that reduces hit chance by 75%, so you can blame this for your grey pass. Stack under the boss and alternate tank abilities for each one, first using the barrier with a healer CD, then using the shroud on the main tank to get hit by lightning fists, and then using the extra button to interrupt and cancel the Epicenter cast. During his spear phase, drag the boss to the edge of the room with melee behind the boss and range stacked in the middle. Wildfire drops fire on someone after a few seconds, so drop it to the sides, and Draw Fire sucks in the fire and gives the boss stacks that makes him deal raid-wide damage with every hit. If you drop the barrier on the boss before the fire reaches him, it stops him gaining stacks, and you can ignore the mechanic completely. But you can only do it every second cast, so for every other time, pop heavy healer CDs and pump your numbers. Finally, on normal, you get his staff phase, and all range should spread 6 yards around the room. Arcane Resonance makes a couple of people pulse AoE damage that ramps up if you hit more people, so this is why you spread. And Arcane Velocity is channeled raid-wide damage increased by distance, so stand under the boss and drop a healer CD. And don't get too close if you have Arcane Resonance or you'll probably all fucking die. On Heroic, he gains the shield phase and gets a stacking damage buff when you phase him. Chains of Shadow is just damage, so a healer problem, and he drops the shield on the floor and spawns 10 ads from random players that do bad things if they reach it. Everyone get the fuck away before the ads spawn, so you have time to nuke them before they reach the shield. If you drop the barrier on the shield when he plants it, the ads won't spawn, so you can ignore the mechanic every second cast. The weapon phases can be done in any order, so do whatever's easiest for you, but I'd recommend staff, then spear, then shield, then fists. And everything hurts way more, so you'll have to deal with the increasing damage until you eventually kill the boss. Garajal is the third boss in Mogu'shan Vaults and has one phase with the Shadow Realm. Throughout the fight, the boss spawns totems that send up to 5 nearby players into the Shadow Realm when destroyed. The ads inside deal damage to the raid, so make a strike team of 4 DPS and healer to go in and take them out. Anyone going in drops to 30% health, and receiving healing gives them a buff, increasing damage for DPS and mana regen for healers, so rotate which healer goes down based on who's the thirstiest bitch. Once you reach full health, you can leave the realm, but if you don't leave within 30 seconds, you'll all fucking die, so kill the ads and top everyone up ASAP. On Heroic, you can't go in again for 30 seconds, so make 2 groups and rotate which group goes down. Voodoo Dolls makes the boss fixate on the main tank and gives a few people a debuff, making them take 70% of any damage the tank takes, so keep up some mitigation to save your friends. If you have the debuff, you can't go into the Shadow Realm, so assign backups to replace these people when needed. On Heroic, this now makes you take 100% of the tank damage, so healers get to spam the shit out of anyone who has it, and the tank should pop some defensives for the heavier shadow hits. When Voodoo Dolls ends, the tank also gets banishment, sending them into the Shadow Realm to kill an ad of their own, but it has less health than a Make-A-Wish kid, so taunt swap and kill it to get back. On Heroic, the tank now gets 3 ads to kill, and 2 can be seen by anyone else in the Shadow Realm, so dot them up and give the tank a hand, but don't focus them unless they really need it. The fight on Heroic is a tight DPS check, and the damage buff from the Shadow Realm becomes a damage loss if you go in too often, but the mana regen is still important for healers. For the first totem, send the full group of the healer to kill the ads. Then for the second totem, only send whichever healer needs mana to heal themselves up and get out ASAP. The third should be the second group, and you should only send extra DPS if you really need to kill the ads. Keep dipping into the Shadow Realm until you reach 20% health when he stops spawning totems and gets increased damage. When you get close to 30%, kill off any adds inside, then lust it up and blast the shit out of the boss to kill him before more spawn. Spirit Kings is the 4th boss in Mogu'shan Vaults and has 4 bosses, each with their own abilities. On normal you get 1 boss at a time, so you can 1-tank it, but on heroic the next boss appears when the current one hits 30%, so you will need 2. Qiang is always first, but the rest of the order is random every pull, and each boss has an ability that continues after death, so you can blame RNG until you kill it. For Qiang, flanking orders is a line of adds that march across the room, so dodge it or they'll fuck you up. These continue the whole fight, and on heroic it spawns 2 lines, so have fun dodging them all. His melee hits deal massive split damage, so everyone's stack on the tank, then swap sides when he casts Annihilate and don't get hit. And on heroic he gets an immunity shield, so dispel it ASAP. For Subutai, everyone's spread for Rain of Arrows, which pins you and anyone nearby, so break them out or use Hand of Protection, Blink, or anything else that frees you. Volley is 3 frontal shots on someone, getting narrower each time, but increasing damage, so get the fuck out when it starts. He also charges on someone and casts a Whirlwind that debuffs anyone too close when it finishes, continuing after he's dead, so just get out and you'll be fine. On heroic he gets Sleight of Hand, and if you hit him with it, you'll become a Gimp, so get rid of it ASAP by stunning him. For Meng, he gains energy over time, swapping between Crazed and Cowardice each time it fills. Crazed makes him do more damage, and Cowardice makes him run around and reflect damage, with each effect increasing based on his energy. At high energy, it'll be rough for tanks during Crazed and DPS during Cowardice, so watch the tank health and try not to cap yourself. Crazy Thought is a cast that gives him 10 energy, so interrupt it at low energy, but if he's near 90, let it go through to reset it quicker. And Maddening Gaze makes everyone hostile until you take 40k damage, so stack up and cast some AoEs to break everyone out. And this continues the rest of the fight, so move together when it happens if it's safe, or break everyone out when you can. On heroic he gets a buff that makes him gain more energy, so remove it with Soothe or Trank Shot. Finally, for Xian, he spawns an ad that fixates someone, pulsing AoE damage around it and dropping shit when it dies. Kite it against a wall while ranged kill it, and it respawns after 30 seconds but only once, so when you kill it the second time it does disappear. And this continues for the rest of the fight, so it'll be more annoying if you get this boss early. Shadow Blast is AoE damage on someone, and Charge Shadows is a chain lightning effect, so everyone should spread 10 yards and reduce the effect of both until you kill him. And on heroic, Shield of Darkness deals massive raid-wide damage if you hit him while it's up, so dispel it ASAP, and if anyone ignores the call to stop damage, you'll probably all f***ing die. Lost whichever boss you find more annoying, and hope that every week is the same as when you kill it. Elegon is the 5th boss in Mogu'shan Vaults and cycles through 3 repeating phases. The room is split into the outer ring and the inner vortex, giving you a damage and healing buff while inside, but also a stacking damage debuff. Dip outside to reset your stacks, but you want the buff to be the enrage. And on heroic, these line of sight each other, so don't chill outside for too long or you'll die thinking your healers hate you. In phase 1, he has a frontal breath, so face it away, and on heroic, tank swap if you need to reset stacks so it doesn't kill you. He spawns an ad that gets the vortex buff but takes 90% reduced damage when outside the ring, so hold it near the edge until 25% when it starts dealing raid-wide damage. Dispel the heal absorb it puts out, and at 25% drag it outside because the AoE really hurts, and when it dies it explodes, so if it's inside when it goes off, you'll probably all fucking die. On heroic, the explosion can be LOS'd, but you need to hit at least 3 people and it can't be soaked twice, so make soak groups using immunity classes and rotate taking the hits. Focus heal anyone taking the hit, because if they go below 80%, they'll get a dot that stuns them every so often. Phase 2 starts at 85%, but if you phase with an ad or right before one spawns, you'll be in for a bad time. During phase 2, the boss chain casts Draw Power, spawning waves of ads that move to the outside of the ring, ending the phase if one reaches. Each cast gives the boss a damage taken increase and increases the speed of the ads, so the more waves you kill, the more stacks he gets. Everyone spread around the ring to kill them, but melee remember to reset your stacks as they deal AoE damage when they die. When you hit phase 3, the boss becomes immune, the inner floor disappears, and 6 canisters spawn at the edge of the room, so split the raid between them to destroy them. The boss deals pulsing raid-wide damage and spawns a bunch of small ads, so don't stand when they spawn, pick them up and AoE them down once all the canisters are dead. When the floor reappears, you restart phase 1, so drag any ads under the boss and cleave them down while you continue the fight. The following phase 2 starts at 50%, and after 2 cycles, the outside of the room gets electrified so you can't drop your debuff stacks. Everyone stack under the boss, pop Lost, rotate healer CDs once you start hurting, and kill the boss before you all melt. This is the final fight of Mogu'shan Vaults and has 2 phases, with phase 1 being only ads. You get 3 types of ads throughout the fight: Courage, Strength, and Rage, in that priority. Rage mobs spawn in 4s and fixate on people, so just AoE them down. Strength mobs spawn in 2s and need to be tanked, so assign 2 melee DPS to be ad bitches. Their stomp AoE grows with each cast, so kill them before it gets too big, but only focus them if the melee tank and the dots aren't enough. And Courage mobs are the highest prio, spawning at either side of the room with a frontal damage shield. They fixate on the furthest tank and slowly move towards them, giving them a 25% slow when they melee them. Everyone hard swap, get behind the shield, and kill them ASAP before your tanks have less mobility than Brendan Fraser. After a few waves of ads, you get the bosses, each needing a tank and having shared health for multi-dotters to jork over. Hold the bosses apart at the front of the room, and tanks will get grouped back if they move too far away. Each boss has a stomp and a devastation rotating arc, a 180-degree frontal, so watch their animations to know where it's going and don't get hit. At 100 energy, both bosses do a 5-strike combo of stomps and arcs that you need to dodge, and if you dodge them all, you get an extra button that deals 500k damage, so use it on an ad to kill them faster, or just on the boss if you want more damage. And on Heroic, the combo is 10 strikes, and the extra attack is 1 mil, so get your dancing shoes on and don't get stunned. Every few minutes you get Titan Gas, dealing ticking damage to everything and increasing physical damage done, for your melee to become the monkeys they already are. On Heroic, you get gas from the pull, so you'll deal with the constant ticking damage the whole fight, as well as the increased physical damage. The main mechanic change on Heroic is the Titan Sparks, spawning from any mob you kill that fixates someone and explode if anyone gets too close. You can assign certain soakers for each spark, or you could make it way easier. Mass group each rage group that spawns and have 2 druids rotating mass routes to keep them all at the back and ignore them completely. It also means more soakers for the sparks you can't avoid, so assign immunities and tanky classes with personals to soak each spark from the other ads. If you soak them too close to an enemy, it'll buff them, so kite them away before soaking if you need to, or you'll probably all fucking die. You get a few moments when no ads spawn, so use the time to stabilize, go nuts, and kill the bosses before you get sick of yet another ad fight. And that's it, congrats on defeating Will of the Emperor and clearing Mogu'shan Vaults, an underwhelming end to the first tier of MoP. If you want some extra info or just want to support the channel, you can become a member to get access to my raid sheets. Like and subscribe if you found these useful. I'll catch you in the next one.